And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you for joining us this week. I am Brian Hewitt. Tim is out on assignment this week and cannot join us for the Interfaith Holiday Beer Spectacular 2024, which is what we're doing today. We have with us Becky Smalls.
Hello, hello.
And we've got, I think we've decided your name this week is Ho-Ho Mike Nate instead of No Mike Nate. He's not on mic, but he's here. He's drinking the beer. And we are also joined in this blind tasting extravaganza of holiday beers by Michael Syrop and Ron Mitchell. Sorry, I was reading my writing and I was like, I misspelled his name. It's not Andrew. Like no, I just wrote poorly. So Ron Mitchell from Rainy Day Brewing. Guys, thank you for joining us again.
Shalom. Thanks for having us.
Yes,
glad to be here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same without you. It wouldn't be Interfaith without you. It'd basically be the one faith. So. Yes, indeed. So, we've drank through 12 different beers, and you know what? To get us started, let me go through the full list of the beers that we are drinking and blind tasting today. Bell's Christmas Ale is the first one. Breckenridge Christmas Ale, Delirium Noel, Fat Bottom Noel. We've got Highland Cold Mountain, which is one we have every year, basically. We've got Nice Chouffe from Brasserie à Chouffe. We've got Ommegang's Everything Naughty, which did really well last year, as I recall. And Michael, you brought that one. So
actually, my daughter Rachel brought it to us.
Yeah, was that last year she brought it to us?
And this year.
And this year as well. Okay, mm-hmm. So that
she's
was
a keeper.
Cool. Yeah.
She's your favorite, right?
Yeah, she is. Tell her boyfriend.
Exactly. Keep bringing the beer around. And it's always great to see that one. We got this year, I think it's the first year we've ever had Samichlaus Classic in here, and that's a little dangerous. It's a big boozy Doppelbock. That's a 14%er. We also had Scaldis Noel, Shiner Holiday Cheer, Southern Tier Chestnut Praline, which is one Nate found and picked up and brought in. That's an interesting one, a first time for us. And, of course, St. Bernardus Ale. So going over the beer stats, we have an average ABV across all the beers of 9%, an average untapped rating of 3.843 on Untapped. So that's solid. It's nearly 4. It's anything above 3.7 on Untapped is something that makes me think that's probably a good beer. So on average, we've got good beers. That's what Untapped tells us. Our regions represented. We've got one Austrian beer, which is the Samichlaus. That's Schloss Eckenberg in Austria, and I think it's the first time we've ever had an Austrian beer in the lineup.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. And we've got 4 from Belgium and 7 from the US. So that's the breakdown. So I think we should just get into it. Becky, first beer. We went through all 12 of them already. What were your thoughts on the very first beer we opened?
So the very first one for me, it was a lot of heat on the back of the throat originally for me. And just a lot of malt, a lot of spice to it. So I was like, oh, this feels like a traditional winter warmer-esque type beer. It was in my mid-range, how I put it. I enjoyed it out of all of the 12 plus beers we've had so far, but it was not in my top 4.
It's not in your top 4.
Spoiler.
Okay, we're already getting spoilers at the first beer, the first review of it. Ron, what did you think of number 1?
I got that alcohol on my throat as well, and also on the nose. I think that was a bit thing. It was a bit drying and tart. It had a little tartness to it that just didn't sit right with me.
Okay.
So, again, not my favorite either.
Number 1 was not anybody's favorite. Michael, what did you think?
I wasn't crazy about it either. I did think it had high carbonation, and to me, I got a lot of. It seemed on the hoppier side of some of the beers that we had today, and it was fine, but it didn't stand out for me.
Okay. You know, that's interesting you say hoppy. It occurs to me in smelling these when I remember to do a proper smell of them. I don't think I ever really noticed hops in any of them, like maybe one of them, but...
No, not overly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for it.
I guess you wouldn't expect that too much, right?
I think the spice kind of overpowered any kind of hop aroma.
And I attributed that on this beer too. It came across bitter to me, and I just kind of assumed it was from hops.
Okay, yeah. And my notes on it, I noted that it had a caramel color to it. It smelled fruity to me. It was bright, effervescent, and it seemed boozy. Did anybody have a guess on what this one was?
No, but I lied. Let me backtrack. It was in my top 4.
Oh, it wasn't
failed.
your top 4.
I'm sorry. I'm jet lagged. I've been all over the world this year. Bear with me.
Yeah, didn't you just get back from LA though?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So you're our Santa Claus.
I am.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to do the. Does anybody remember what the math is for Santa Claus? I know somebody did it, like the number of houses he would have to actually drop down and drop presents at. And it's like some number he had to do a second to accomplish the thing throughout the entire evening.
See, that's the nice thing about the Jewish side. We give them 8 nights to do it.
Oh, that's
You give us some leeway.
that's incredibly that's practical and charitable both. I like that. Very good. In terms of, for me, I thought the number 1 was fine. Let me see, where did it fall down? It was pretty far down on my list.
Yeah, it was far down on mine.
Yeah, so it wasn't the greatest. So moving on to number 2, we'll go around the horn the opposite direction. Michael, what'd you think of that one?
When I first looked at it, I thought it presented beautifully. I thought the color was nice. For me, it was an interesting contrast because I did get some bitterness, but also some sweetness and then some spiciness on the tongue. Overall, it didn't meld as well for me. I thought they kind of clashed, so I didn't score it particularly high. It just wasn't in my wheelhouse.
Okay, all right. What'd you think, Ron?
I'm on the same thing. There was a spice that kind of sat on the back of my tongue, and it just didn't hit me right. Not something that I would go back for.
Okay, Becky.
Yeah, I have to agree. For me, my notes were that it was just, I don't know, for me, it was sour when I let it sit, and like just the back mouth feel with it was very sour to me. Didn't care for it. Just really wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, I think I kind of have to
watch this be like a famous beer too. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think I have to echo a lot of people. I think when you were saying there was a spiciness that lingered, I had 2 notes in my I was writing down, and like, is this too cold? Maybe it needs to warm up a little bit. But I also found that it was kind of astringent. Like maybe that's like a spice astringency.
Yeah, either that or contamination. I didn't want to go down that road, but it was something. It just was off for me.
Okay, entirely possible. Like everybody picks up different things, more sensitive to certain compounds than others. I definitely am more sensitive to some things than others. But yeah, I did get some dark chocolate in it, some little fruity maltiness, and I did have a guess on this. My guess actually was Highland's Cold Mountain. I made a note here because I drank some in this week before the show, and I'm like, this tastes different to me, but I think this might be Highland Cold Mountain. I think I might have been right on that one. Did anybody else take a guess at this one?
I did not, but I think we had Cold Mountain last year when we did this, and I remember it not being in my top last year either. So
okay, yeah. All right, so I guess we're going to move on to the third one. And Becky, what'd you think about number 3?
Okay, so number 3, I put this like mid-range for me, and on the nose, it flat out smelled like those. This just reminded me of childhood, where it's the oranges that you put the cloves in it and you dry them down, so you get that orangey smell with the cloves. So that's what I got on the nose. It was very malty to me, but it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best. So that's why I said it was like more mid-range for me. Like it was just like, it was good. I'd drink it again, but it's not something I would seek out.
Okay, all right. Ron, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, initially I rated it relatively high, but then after going back and retasting it, there was, I think, as clove that you picked out, that also it just didn't sit right, and I ended up dropping it down. It did have a real nice sweet cherry nose, cleaned off the palate well, but just that clove just didn't do it for me.
Man, I somehow missed the clove. Since I'm talking about mine, I got like a light sweet pearish, like the pear fruit in it, and I was kind of thinking this was like might be Shiner Holiday Cheer, but like of the first 3 we had, this was I think my favorite of the 3 of them at this early stage. Were you thinking the same thing, Michael?
I was. I think I probably liked it more than the other folks did. I got the cherries. I got a little alcohol on the nose. And then you said you got pear. I got some plum and peaches, and then there was this underlying slightly bitter chocolate note that I got.
Okay, yeah, and I kind of struggle with that a little bit. I'm like pear. I'm like maybe this is peach. Like it's one of the lighter, fruitier, like brighter type of fruitiness. So I could kind of see that. Did anybody else take a guess at it?
No. But now I want to go get another sample since we're all getting all the different fruits.
When we were retasting these, and we go through, we drink all of them, and then we, when we're deciding our ranking for them, we get additional pours to compare against them. Number 3 was one of the ones I got, again, just to double check on. And I think, did this wind up being higher up in anybody else's list? Because I think this one was like it was a contender for at least the first half of it. So I don't think it didn't wind up in the end for me, but I'm not sure about the rest of it.
It wasn't one of my top 4.
No, it wasn't one of mine.
Early on, I had it ranked higher, but I did a retaste. And after we had some of the ones that we'll get into later, I kind of dropped this one a little bit.
Yeah, because this, I got to say, we're going to get into a little later. This was a surprisingly good year for holiday beers, but we'll get into that. Yeah, let's move on to number 4. We're moving right along here. Michael, what'd you think of number 4?
It was this one was a mid-range one for me. I thought it was a soft beer. It was simple but well done. I got some toffee notes, some café au lait, and it was the only one. I don't know. I think we'll find out what the ABV was, but this one seemed to me the only one of the Christmas beers where I really felt I could have multiple beers. This seemed easy drinking enough. So while I didn't rate it as high as some, I think this one has a niche in the holiday season.
Okay, all right.
I would agree with Michael as far as the easy drinking, and I actually rated it a little bit higher because of that. The spices are sometimes a little bit too much for me, but it had a nice sweet mouthfeel, cleaned out, nice and clean, easy to drink. So I enjoyed it.
All right, yeah, Becky.
Yeah, that's where I would put it. It was more for me mid-range. It wasn't super spicy, how I like to label it with like all the different cloves and things like that. Like for me, it was still really good. I would drink more of it. It just wasn't one of those ones where I was like, this is super fancy. I like this. But then, I have to go back and look at how I rate things because I might like a beer, but would I actually want to drink 8 ounces of it? And sometimes I wouldn't. And I feel like this one, I definitely probably would drink 8 ounces, but it did make my top 4. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So, so I gotta say that with this one, I had real mixed feelings about it because I got some nice like sweetness, like jammy raspberry sweetness type of thing, but I also got like a metallicness to it, and I don't think I was alone. I think somebody else might have mentioned that, but maybe I think it was Mike Nate, who does not have a microphone right now. He also got some metallicness to it, so. I was, mixed feelings. I'm like, I like a lot of what's going on here, but that little metallic element is kind of ruins it for me. So 4 did not do terribly well in my rating. I'm looking, 4 was, man, that was kind of a last place one for me. I hate to say it, but I don't know. Maybe, these were fairly chilled and they were small pours of them. So in a different environment, different glassware, bigger pour, warmed up. Maybe it'll be a different thing. It could be just a transient thing that I picked up. But we can move right along to number 5. Let's Smalls.
All right,
number 5. What did you think there?
So 4 and 5 were roughly the same for me, where there was just the same thing, mid-level, wasn't overly rememberable, if that's the right way to go with it. Not very memorable. But thank you. If anybody doesn't know, I'm dyslexic, so bear with me. And also just had 12 beers and I'm on number 13. But no, it wasn't overly very fruity, but also I found it to be very just easy drinking, but just wasn't in my top 4.
So I do got to say that it's like while we did drink through 12 beers, we didn't actually drink 12 beers. I just want to point that out.
They were tasters.
They were little tasters, an ounce or two, and maybe a follow-up to verify our stuff.
And we had plenty of meats and cheeses to line our stomach, so we're fine.
Smalls laid out quite the charcuterie plate with the almonds and cheeses and the salamis and various things. So that's quite nice. So we're good. We are definitely good. Ron. Number 5.
Number 5 was middle of the road for me also. It had a nice bitter finish to it, so it was almost, I got a little more real beer feel out of it, but nothing stood out. It wasn't overly alcoholic, just nothing that nothing stood out.
All right. So number 4 and number 5 so far are just not big crowd pleasers for anybody. Well, I don't know. Everybody's like, I would drink more.
I would drink more. Yeah, it just wasn't like this is the best beer ever, and it definitely wasn't like this is the worst beer.
But these are both fine. So Michael, you perked up. Did you have more thoughts on it? Is 5 like a big winner for you?
No, 5 wasn't a big winner. I did like it better than 4 overall, but 5 was weird because on the nose I got a lot of spice, a lot of Christmas spices, and I was really looking forward to it. And then I tasted it, and the palate let me down. I didn't get in the taste what I thought I was going to get from the nose. So, I liked it, but it at the same time, it created expectations it didn't live up to.
Yeah, it had a really interesting aroma. In my notes, I didn't have a lot for this one. When I smelled it, it kind of hit me with like it smelled like really inviting and like floral even. And this might have been the one time where I thought maybe I'm smelling some hops here. And it was just kind of, like you guys said, just malty and kind of nutty and just to me, and like there's not much there. And I'm not going to say what my guess was because I know what that tastes like. And I'm looking at it now. I'm like, why would I have guessed that? So I was thinking it might have been that Southern tier.
No, you should say that so that way the listeners can make fun of you later.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I don't mind being a whipping boy and being made fun of. So for some reason, I was thinking, and I put a question mark after it, so I wasn't sure about it. I think it might have been because of the floral nature of it. I'm like, maybe this is Southern Tier's chestnut praline. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think it tastes a little nuttiness in it. It was a little sweet and had some interesting, I'm not sure if floral was the right thing, but I'm like, oh, maybe that's it, because I've never had that before. This is the first time I've ever seen it. So,
okay, I won't fault you on that one because I also, looking at the name, was trying to match the taste characteristics with it. And nothing. I mean, I'll be frank. Out of the 12 beers, none of them really screamed praline to me. But
I kind of agree. Like, if you think about praline in terms of like desserts, there's several that it could qualify. But if you think about like praline in terms of what it really is, I'm like, not really. I'm like, I thought like, well, the nuttiness, maybe this is it. So no. And I think this, let me look at my rankings here. I don't think this was back of the pack for me. It was, I didn't dislike this. It wasn't for me as annoying as 4 was, and that with the metallic part. So yeah, anyway, so enough of talking badly about that beer. I'm sure it's a fine beer. Everybody else liked it, but so let's move on to number 6. And Michael, what did you think?
Number 6, I thought really highly of. Coming after the couple we tasted before it really stood out. I initially got apple and pear on the nose. Super Christmassy on the palate. I mean, if you want to taste what Christmas tastes like in a beer, to me, this one was it. This tasted like what you would think Christmas tastes like. I really enjoyed it. I thought it fit the category perfectly.
All right. I mean, that's high praise. So this one wound up high up in your rankings?
Yeah, this was actually my second favorite of all the ones we had.
Okay. Well, all right. Nice. Ron, what'd you think of number 6?
I gave it a fairly high score, but I got a nice honey nose, honey on the nose, butterscotch tasting, almost reminding of maybe a caramel apple or something. It was very sweet, a little too sweet. It was okay in moderation, but more than a couple of ounces would just be a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it too. And I don't know if it just tasted sweeter to me after the first 5 beers where they were complete opposite style.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing. It was good, but it'd be hard for me to do a full 6 ounce or 8 ounce pour of that one.
You know, that reminds me, we got to give a shout out to Party Nate for always doing a really good job of confusing us, trying to trick us with the lineup. Because 6 and 7, I think were both very light in color. Mm-hmm. And in terms of a flavor profile, there was a fair, we're talking about 6, right? I lost track.
Yeah, we're on 6, yeah.
There was both of them were sweeter. Both of them had things going on with it. Ron, you'd mentioned you got some butterscotch. Well, I got that in 7, but we won't get into 7 just yet. I like this one. I thought this was really good. boozy, light in color. I thought this, this is one I could drink more of. It was sweet though. I think after maybe an 8-ounce pour of it, I'd be like, I'm good. This is maybe even not that much because of the sweetness of it. But in keeping with the season, with the right food, around the right people, in front of a fireplace, that kind of thing, this would be a good one. I agree with that. Did that wind up being a winner for anybody, number 6?
No, sadly no.
Nah, it was kind of it's actually middle of the pack for me still. So
well, I'm the standout, or I don't know, oddball, I guess, on this one.
Was it? Oh, because you did say this was like your vision of like Christmas in a glass. Was number
course,
6.
It's okay. Stand with it. It's fine.
No, I'm just saying,
defend your ground, sir.
As a Jew, this is what Christmas should taste like. Okay?
You got that that's a quote right there. You can take that one to the bank. All right, so we're halfway through, and this is the point in time where I give a little shout out to our great sponsor, Truck and Tap. And a few weeks ago, I was talking about how great the variety is at Truck and Tap. But if you're feeling cocktails, a beer variety, I should say, but if you're feeling cocktails instead of beer, now is a great time to swing by. Each location has its own seasonal cocktail menu, but if you're looking for something a little warmer, the Duluth location is also setting up hot chocolate bar on different days of the month. You need to check out truckandtap.com for the specific days. They've got a calendar there. It'll forward you on to their social media if you need to look into it in any more detail. But this is the most wonderful time for a beer. So let's get into my beer picks for the week at Truck and Tap. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with the Silent World from Creature Comforts. It's a black lager with subtle notes of coffee, chocolate, and caramel. It kind of feels like drinking a Christmas carol, like Silent Night. If that were a beer, it would be the Silent World, I think. At the Duluth location, I'm popping a lactose pill because I'm getting a pour of Left Hand's Mexican hot chocolate milk stout. As you may have guessed, this milk stout has a little chili to kick it up a notch, and also some vanilla because that makes everything nicer, a little vanilla. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is 2 Turbid Doves from Green Bench. And I won't lie, I picked this one because the name amuses me, 2 Turbid Doves. Love that. But it also sounds like a good beer. It's a New England IPA, and it's made with Nelson and Lemon Drop hops. I'm sure that'll be, that's good any time of the year. It sounds a festive name, good IPA. Can't go wrong there. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, they're pouring another great Allagash mixed fermentation beer. It's called Avance, and it's made with strawberries, and it's aged in bourbon barrels. I've never had it before, but it sounds fantastic. When was the last time, I don't even drink a lot of sours anymore, but a mixed fermentation strawberry sounds fantastic.
If it's done right, it's fabulous.
And it's Allagash. It's going to be done right. Yeah. It's going to be great. So, and while you're at Truck and Tap, don't forget to ask about gift cards. They're good for all of your craft beer drinking buddies, but you can get one for yourself. If you buy a Truck and Tap gift card between now and the end of December, you get bonus cash, and that's basically free beer money. You'd be losing money if you didn't get one. It just makes financial sense. So for all the specifics on that, check your local Truck and Tap when you next visit. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support. And now, let's get back into our rankings and our notes on the different beers. We are on number 7. Thank you, ho-ho, Mike Nate. Number 7, who wants to go? I'm Michael. I'm looking right at you, so you can go first.
Okay. 7 was very high for me. I really like this. I got a little coffee on the nose. Somebody else mentioned this, so I apologize that I'm stealing. I think it was Smalls, said that there was a Shirley Temple note to this, and she was absolutely right.
Okay.
You get that. And then I got a little honey and melon, like a cantaloupe or, kind of thing. But yeah, as a very good friend of yours, Brian, would say, good stuff, good stuff.
Good stuff. Yes. So Shirley Temple, remind me what's in a Shirley Temple.
Oh, goodness. It's like
grenadine, 7-Up, and cherries.
Okay.
Maraschino cherry on top.
Oh, the maraschinos. Okay. Yeah, I knew it was a mocktail, but it's not something I commonly drink or make. So I don't remember what's in it. Yeah. Ron, so what do you think of number 7?
Well, that was it. It was a Shirley Temple. My note was candy in a bottle. It was super sweet. It rated real high to me. You opened it up, smelled, you got the cherry smell, sweet cherry smell. It might be hard to drink 8 ounces of it, but it was very tasty.
All right, Smalls.
Yeah, I had the same thing. It was just straight up the cherries on the nose, and I was like, "Oh, this kind of reminds me of being a kid." And then once I started drinking it, I got the coffee notes in there, and I feel like 6 or 7 would be really good for back in the day doing that wassailing thing. So essentially, getting that a little bit warm, and incorporating some other stuff into that. I think that's a perfect base for either one of those to do that with.
Okay. I'm glad you said coffee because I'm looking at my notes and comparing it to what people have said. I'm like, I wonder if I got 6 and 7 backwards because I got the caramel, I got the butterscotch, I got coffee in this one. I don't know. I think I did get the, like, this is like candy in a glass. I did get that sense, but I kind of got that for both 6 and 7. I thought in terms of sweetness and like candy, like both of these are great for that. But the candy in the bottle, I actually wrote your quote down. So I'm glad you said it. I was going to
say Mr. Small said it tasted like what adult cough syrup should be. Like
adult cough syrup.
Yeah, because that stuff always tastes garbage. Like this is good. Like this is straight up like good cherry, and just add the rest of the good stuff to it. Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and drink some more of 7 when we're done. I think we have a little bit left and taste it and see if I get the whole Shirley Temple cherry thing. I don't know. I kind of missed that. So
do we have any of those cherries in the fridge? I don't think we do. No, we have the good cherries.
Oh,
because I'm bougie. So
the maraschino. What are the fancy cherries?
Luxardo.
Luxardo cherries. Yeah. They make a liqueur, don't they? Luxardo, the cherry. Okay. Anyway, yes, getting really off base there, but let's go to number 8, Smalls. What did you think about? Oh, before I move on, anybody was 7? Was 7 a pretty high ranking for anybody?
Yeah, 7 was for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in my top 4 for sure.
Okay,
mine as well.
Yeah, I know it was up there for me as well. So number 8, Smalls.
So number 8, I put that had really good head retention on it, and it was straight up smelled like raisin bread to me on the nose. And I was like, this is good. I like this. And it was just very spicy, nice little winter warmer. Was not in my top 4, but I did like it. It was a good beer.
Okay. And Ron?
Now, for me, I thought it just opened it up. Smells like a quad. I didn't get a lot of the spice, which I really liked. It was my number 1. It was highly carbonated, had a nice clean finish. Nothing crazy about it. I enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. You know the what'd you say, raisin bread or raisin toast?
Yeah, raisin toast. Yeah.
That description is like kind of an ideal description of a really good Belgian like Christmas ale, like that. The breadiness, the raisin sweetness, maybe a little bit of spice to it. But yes, Michael.
I did get the raisin, and I say this in a positive way. I also get like an overripe plum, pruny kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't know why I picked this up. Again, I said apple sauce, and again, like raisins, like the overripe plum, like that. It was more. It wasn't the fresh fruit thing that I got out of this. It was the super ripened fruits that I got. And I think, I really liked it. This was in my top 4 because I don't think it was too much. It was sweet, but it wasn't sweet like 6 and 7 were. Mm-hmm.
So when you think maybe like overripe or maybe like baked, like because a baked is kind of another way of getting to that beyond stage.
Right. And I think both of those things, what happens is the sugar's coming out.
Yeah.
More than in the natural fruit. So that's what I think. I kind of got that sugar sense, but not in a unpleasant way. I don't, because sometimes when you say sweet with a beer, it's not good. But that's not what I meant here. It was in a good way. I enjoyed it.
I did write down a quote from you that says it's as good coming back up. So
I did have a little burp before I tried 9, and I got to retaste 8 when that happened.
That's worthy of note. So number 8 is definitely one to look out for. Yeah, I said this is great. I noted that it was a darker color because they were coming off of 6 and 7, which were really light in color. This was darker again. It was definitely Belgian to my senses and nice and effervescent. I was guessing, and I don't even know if I was right. I have the list here somewhere, but I was guessing this was Scaldis Noel just because it kind of reminded me of what I remembered that tasting like. But I have that so infrequently. It's really hard to know. So, but moving on, let's get on to number 9, and we'll throw it back to you, Michael. What did you think of number 9?
I thought this was good. It wasn't in my top 4, but it was a good beer. I got some butterscotch in there. I felt the beer, it came across soft on the palate to me in a nice way. It was, it tasted like a Christmas beer, but not spiced like some of the other ones we had. Like I got the fact that this was a Christmas beer, but they were much more muted on the spices, and it was fine. It was good.
You said like softer, and I didn't write it down, and I don't remember exactly which one it was. There was definitely one that had like a soft, like a delicate mouthfeel to it. It may have been this one for me, but I get that. There's one in here that's got it's an unusual but a very positive softness to it. I need to remember to write these things
that's
down.
essentially what I had for my notes for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the same thing where I was like, oh, it's very spicy on the nose. So I was expecting that in the mouth feel. And I was like, no, it's just very nice and sweet and malty. And I just put it was warm in my belly. Like it was perfect. Like the perfect little winter beer that I want.
Around this time is what I wrote in my notes. I feel warm now. So I think it was working. So Ron, we skipped over you. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, good beer, nicely carbonated, had a nice high carbonation to it, like your typical Belgian. I got the Belgian character off of it, not overly spiced. So it was good. It was right in my wheelhouse.
Great. So this one sounds like it probably did pretty well for most of you. I think it did well for me. It's up there for me, up in the top. It may.
Me too. It made my list.
Yeah, it's in my list as well. So let's see.
Number 10.
Number 10.
Double digits.
Yeah, we are making it to double digits. We are moving along really quick now. Smalls, number 10. What did you think of number 10?
10 wasn't all that exciting to me. Like it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't fantastic. I just put that same thing as everybody else. Just like, spice, a little fruit, but it just didn't really stand out to me as being anything exciting.
Yeah, same. There was some spice. I couldn't pick it out. It just kind of lingered in my mouth. It wasn't off-putting, but it also wasn't definitely not my favorite.
Yeah, I would say, I know this is a 2024 beer. I know these were all 2024 beers.
Yeah, well, I hope so anyway. Yeah.
But the sweetness in this one almost tasted like it was a little oxidized to me. It wasn't the same good sweetness that we've had in so many of the other beers. It was, it bordered on a little cardboard note. It wasn't quite there, but it just, it was okay. It was fine. If somebody served me this, I would drink it. But again, I wouldn't order a second one.
I mean, there are definite reasons why a beer from 2024 could have cardboard notes already. Like as brewers, like oxygen, right? Just if you let too much, you don't handle your oxygen well enough, keep it out of your beer. I don't know, don't get the right caps on, something. When you're transferring, gets a little too much air in there, it can go cardboard pretty fast. So there's nothing stopping it from doing that. I thought this one was good. I don't have a lot of specific notes on it, like it smells Belgian-y. This is where I wrote I feel warm now. So I think I was not really focusing as much as I should have on the notes of the beer, and I was having too much fun. I think at this point in time, I don't know if you guys did this, but like I think it was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I had all the glasses because I'm like it was so hard to decide which of these was better, because we hit a streak here where we had just one hit after another. And here at 11, or no, sorry, this is 10. Here at 10, we're still, I think we're maybe on the tail end of that. But it was hard to decide. They were all really good. I didn't want to let them go. We did have a dump bucket, but it's such a shame to dump something that tastes that good. But you have to keep in mind, we're looking at an average ABV of like 9% with these beers or more. I just looked inside the dump bucket. We don't actually have a lot in there. Like when we do the it's already been emptied. Oh, it's been emptied. So that's been set. Okay, so there's not a lot in there, but some years we've actually consumed the dump bucket a little bit. I think we usually do that in the Oktoberfest show more so than the Christmas one, but I don't see why we don't do it for this one too. Would make as much sense. It's just as gross either way. But anyway. All right, moving right along. What are we on? Are we on 10 already?
11.
Oh, we're on 11 over. Okay. All right. Michael, 11.
Okay. I think I was an outlier on this one. I love this one. I said that this tasted like a chocolate cherry dipped in alcohol. It just was good. Of course, for me, I think I know what it is. I have a good idea what it was, and I have a recent affinity with this beer, if it's what I think it is. So it just stood out to me. It just
Don't leave us in suspense. What's your guess, and why do you think it's that one?
I think it's Samichlaus.
Okay, you
and
think
the
it's Samichlaus.
and the reason is, and I'll try to keep this brief because I know we're under time. But Ron and I and some of our friends went to one of the local bars here, the Porter, which is one of the best beer bars you can go to. And we did a vertical of Samichlaus last night, and we had their 2010, 11, 12, and 13s. And they were phenomenal. For beers that were that old, they held up so well. But the characteristics of that chocolate and cherry that I got out of this beer was what I was getting last night. So that's why I think this was the Samichlaus. And we had a great time last night. So I think recency bias there.
It's kind of crazy to think about. And I guess this being a Doppelbock and a 14%er at this, but I think you were telling me earlier that like the 2000, was it the 12 was the best of the three, do you think? Or
We did 11, 12, 13. Yeah.
We
12.
did 10, 11, 12, and 13. And the 12, the 12, when they opened that up, I mean, it was phenomenal. It was, as I told you before we started recording, Brian, I'm going to go out and buy some of this stuff and put it away. And in 2040, I'm going to crack it open.
There you go. It's crazy because I have, as a result of just being kind of a pack rat, and early on, like all these great beers were coming in, I'd buy them, I'd put them away. I'm like, one for now and like two for later, because man, I don't know when I'll be able to get this again. What I didn't realize, I didn't look into the future and see all these great beers would be made by everybody. It would be widely available all the time. So I have discovered a lot of beers that hit 10 aren't very good anymore. So in Samichlaus is it's fantastic. It probably the booziness helps a lot, the nature of it. And so it's good to hear like that being 12 years old is still a really good beer, because I'm going to tell you, I've had some that are just 8 and they're like, wow, this is garbage. I really wish I would have gotten this sooner. So yeah, it's good to know. This is one to hang on to. This is worth picking up and putting back in your cellar. So very cool. I think you're right, and we'll verify that for sure here in a bit when we go through all of it. But Ron, what did you think of this?
Assuming that it is Samichlaus, what I thought was interesting compared to what we drank last night, the older versions, the cherry was very, very upfront on this. I didn't get as much chocolate. Some of the older ones that we had, it was a little bit more chocolatey along with the cherry and blended wonderful. This was very, 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 very nice. It is a very sweet beer. It's a 14% beer, so it's big. It you gotta sip it slowly.
Did you feel the booziness in this when you were drinking it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You could. I felt it, a little warmth, a little coating of the throat. This somebody, I don't know if it was this or a different one, the comment of the adult cough syrup, but this one fits it also.
Yeah, could you imagine if cough syrup that tasted like that? I mean, yeah, it probably shouldn't. It actually probably shouldn't taste
it
worse.
should not.
Because we don't want it to taste that good. Smalls, what did you think?
I'm the outlier here because I didn't care for this one. For me, on the nose, I got a lot of what smelled like sawdust and barnyard with it.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And then, I found that it was very, very, very sweet for me, so I didn't really care for it. And then on the back end, I put butt sour on the end. It just was not a good beer.
How many T's in butt there?
Yeah, that is the right question.
So sorry, it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, I also said this. It was my notes were pretty light on this because I think we all knew what it was, and when Michael started, like, his eyes lit up, he's like, I think I know what this is. I'm like, and I sipped it for a second because I've had a lot of Samichlaus over the years. I'm like, yeah, I think he's right. So yeah, big malt, boozy, sweet. It can be a little high on the sweet end of things, but it's a really good beer. So my guess was Samichlaus as well.
That's why you buy it and age it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this would be a good aging beer.
And we have definitely opened up in the studio in the past. We've opened up some of my older bottles of Samichlaus, like 5-6 years old, and they're marvelous. I'm like, they're good, fresh, but they're so much better aged. This is one I think you almost have to age to really fully appreciate. But I guess we're on to beer number 12, Smalls. Last beer. We didn't go to 13 this year. Last year we did 13. We kept it to a proper dozen, not a baker's dozen.
But it was hard because we actually had more than 13 beers. So we had to pick and choose what we were going to pick.
We did. And one of the ones we eliminated was the barrel of monks that we've been drinking right now that the Smalls brought back from. They're in Florida, right?
They're in Florida, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And those, was it Father Christmas?
Yeah, Father Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, I really like their beers. And the only reason we eliminated it because we had 12 already. We want to stay reasonably sober to record the show. And it's cheating. It's aged. It's 2023. So you don't want to give it that, that one up on the other beers.
Those who have it in their cellar, it's good right now.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fantastic. You should definitely drink it. But thanks for bringing that out, Smalls. But what are your thoughts on beer number 12?
So 12, it was just very fruit punchy on the nose for me. Almost, I don't want to say like Hawaiian punch, but it was very fruity for me. Overall, not overly spicy, but as Ron and I were talking about, like there's a lot of odd spices that were coming up out of that beer.
Okay. Yeah, Ron?
My only note was no.
No.
Not even close to my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I said it was. I got some nice things on the nose, but on the palate, it was just bland to me. There wasn't anything to write home about. So we had so many that were so good. I mean, this might have been a beer that I would have been fine with if I was sitting around drinking with folks. But when you follow up some of the beers that we had earlier in the tasting, I mean, we had some strong beers. And if I may, Brian, one of the other ones that we left out is a perennial all-star is Celebration.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I think we've decided to give that an honorary honorable mention because it's always such a great beer. It's a classic you have to have every year. And the problem with including it in here is it's so obvious when you get it. It's like it's not really a blind tasting. You take a sip of that. Well, that's Celebration, obviously, because it's like the only IPA in the group.
And it's so good. I mean, it's a Hall of Fame beer. It really is.
Absolutely. And I'm on I bought the first day I saw them come out. I bought a 6-pack. I finished that off, and I'm on a 12-pack and working through that as well. So I'll be going through a few more of those. It's one that I drink very regularly when it's available. So
yeah, as do I.
Yeah, great stuff. And so for me on 12, I think it was Ron that actually called out cardamom on there, but I think that was right. The spices on this one, like it was astringent. It had that. I wasn't as into it. It was kind of like it seemed, I want to say a little lifeless to me, but the problem is it was following up what we think is Samichlaus with all of that booze, all that richness, all that sweetness. And it's really hard to follow up a beer that's probably at least like half of the ABV down. So it is tough on poor number 12, but it did not do well for me. It was towards the end of my lineup. So yeah, that is all of our beers. Let's see. Let me do the reveal. See if people that made guesses here will tell you what we had in what order. So beer number 1 was let me know if you get your predictions right, because that's always fun. So the number 1 was Nice Chouffe from Brasserie à Chouffe. Anybody guess that?
I did not.
No. Number 2 was Highland's Cold Mountain. Yeah, and I think I actually guessed that one right. And sadly, it didn't.
Oh, that's so weird because I've liked that in the past.
I like it too. And in my notes, here's the crazy thing. I said, I think this is Cold Mountain, but it doesn't taste the same to me. And I just had one earlier this week. So I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it was a little on the cold, is colder this time than when I drank it before, or my taste could be off. Who knows? It's any one of those things could be it. So number 3 was Shiner's Holiday Cheer. Any guesses on that one? No. Number 4 was Bell's Christmas Ale. Number 5 was Breckenridge's Christmas Ale. Number 6 was Ommegang's Everything Naughty.
I got that one.
Yeah, I think I was wrong on that. I think I had 6 and 7 flipped.
Yeah, I know you and I were talking about that. And I thought, well, I was leaning towards or we were leaning towards 7, but the only thing that was throwing me off was I wasn't getting any chocolate on 7.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, what's 7?
So 7 is the Southern Tier Chestnut Praline.
2 in a row.
Weird. Okay.
And that's Ho Mike's contribution. He found that out in the wild and brought that in for us. And I'm glad he did. That was a cool one. Number 8 is St. Bernardus Christmas Ale.
That's 3 in a row.
You got 3? You picked 3 in a row?
3 in a row.
Well done. Well done. Number 9 is Scaldis Noel. Did I break the streak there?
You did break the streak.
Okay. Yeah, it's a tough one to pick, tough one to guess because I see it around occasionally, but I so infrequently get it. I try to make a point of getting it every year because it really is usually a really great beer. So, and I think it did well this year, but we'll get into that in a minute. The number 10 is Delirium Noel. Anybody get that one?
I did not.
Number 11, I think everybody knew what it was. That is Samichlaus Classic. And we were all right on that one. That one also, I think, did fairly well on this. And the last one was Fat Bottom Brewing Noel Spice Christmas Ale. And I think, Michael, you brought that one, right?
No, I picked that up yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, is that a California one?
No, we actually found it down the street.
Oh, okay. Oh. I don't know that one. Okay, I didn't even know that was available here.
I've got a couple more post-show beers.
Okay, yeah, we've got a few. Again, we had to cut a few out. Some of them because, well, we needed to trim it down to 12. But some of them they were older, or we've got an IPA that has a great, holiday theme.
We have one through 2015. We'll see if that explodes or not.
Oh yeah, what was the 2015? That was
that's the 8 Maids of Milken.
8 Maids of. Oh wow. Okay.
So we'll see what happens with that one.
So the festivities will continue, but yeah, let's get into the actual rankings here. So we did, to explain how the ranking works, if I can find my spreadsheet, because I went all high tech with this. So we had so many good beers, we decided to have our top 3 plus an honorable mention, which gives it like a 4th place. The idea is the number 1 spot will get 4 points. The number 2 spot will get 3 points. The number 3 spot will get 2 points. I'm trying to do this in my head. It's really difficult. The number 4 spot will get 1 point. And the honorable mention was actually a tie between, let me sort this. The honorable mention was a tie between Brewery Ommegang's Everything Naughty and Scaldis Noel. So those are both.
That's interesting because they're 2 different styles.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're very different. What that means is these are great. You won't be angry if you get them. We have verified they are a quality beer, blind tasted. So definitely run out and try those. The number 3rd spot was Samichlaus. So the first time showing up on the holiday beer show, and the first beer from Austria and on the show, and it's placed 3rd place. Not bad. The number 2, any guesses as to what number 2 and number 1 are? Number 2, anybody want to guess?
Going with Southern Tier. Southern Tier.
Okay, all right. I don't know what 7 was.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say you're right. Southern Tier is the second place spot, and there was a little bit of extra mathing going on. So some of you may have seen already, but. All right, the winner. What did you think the winner was? I haven't actually looked at the winner.
Yeah, I only because we discussed it a little bit. I think it was the St. Bernardus.
It is right. It is the St. Bernardus. And the crazy thing about that is the St. Bernardus for a few years has not done well in the holiday extravaganza interfaith special show that we're doing here. I don't know why, but it's varied. There's been some years where I didn't even like it. This year it was very solid. I think every single one of us gave it. I think you may have given it the honorable mention, Michael. But I think the rest of us gave us, first or second spot. So it ranked well with all of us. That's the whole point. So
it's 4 points higher than the rest.
Yeah, so looking at the points. Yeah, it had 16 points, whereas the second place one had 12 points. The third place had 9 points. So we had a really good decisive jump between these. So it's not like they're really close. They're definitely big numbers between them. So St. Bernardus is a banger this year. That's the big takeaway. Southern Tier Brewing's Chestnut Praline is definitely worth trying. I don't know if I've seen that before this year, but definitely try it out if you see it. Samichlaus is a classic. You're always going to love that. So there you go. There are your top 3. Anybody have any other thoughts about the whole? Did this work out the way you thought? Which did you think would win this year when you came into it? Michael, what do you think?
Well, I knew that last year Everything Naughty was our winner, and it was a good beer, and it did well again this year. I don't know that I was surprised by the way things went. I think I was surprised more by the overall quality. I was surprised by how many beers we really had to struggle to decide among good beers as versus separating the bottom and just trying to find some good beers.
I think it was Mike Nate was saying it was easier to find the bottom 3 than it was to find the top 3 or 4 in this case. So This was definitely a very, very strong year for Christmas beers. And I love seeing St. Bernardus on top again. I also kind of thought that Everything Naughty did so well last time that it would be in the top 2 probably this year, but it shows you how things can fluctuate from one year to the next. So any other thoughts before we close it out?
No, I am not mad at this year's list. And yeah, we had a lot of really good beers. It was tough. Like, I didn't dump any of mine. I was like, oh, I'm going to keep drinking this one. I'm going to drink this one. Yeah, they were all really good.
Oh, you didn't dump any of them. You drank through all of them?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a tough cookie.
That's true. That's true.
And I'm home.
Yeah, see, you don't have far to commute.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're good. So yeah, good stuff. Anything, Ron?
No, enjoyed it as always.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of Beer Guys Radio. As always, have a great week. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Happy Hanukkah. Shalom. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers.